You know that feeling every spring where it seems like you've caught a cold that just won't quit? Well, you're definitely not alone. We're going to break down what's really going on. It's called hay fever, and in this explainer, we're going to uncover not just what it is, but what you can actually do about it.
Does this feel familiar? The sneezing, the runny nose? But instead of getting better in a week, it just drags on and on and on. If you've ever thought, man, I have the world's most stubborn cold, chances are you're actually dealing with something else entirely. And trust me, if this is you, you are in very good company. Just think about this number. Around 1 in 5 adults in Australia deals with this. That means, in any room with 5 people, one of them probably knows exactly what you're going through. It's super common, so let's get a real handle on what's happening. So what is this thing that feels so much like a cold but isn't one? Let's dive in and get a really clear definition.
Okay, so the official name is allergic rhinitis, but what does that really mean in plain English? Well, think of your immune system like a super sensitive security guard for your body. Now, for most people, it knows what's a real threat. But with hay fever, that security guard mistakes something totally harmless, like pollen, for a dangerous intruder, and it sounds the alarm. That alarm is all the sneezing, the itching, and the runny nose you feel.
And right off the bat, let's bust a huge myth here. Despite the name, hay fever has nothing to do with hay, and it doesn't give you a fever. The name is kind of just a historical mistake that stuck around. So just remember, it's really all about allergies.
All right, so we've established it's an allergic reaction. But what does that reaction actually feel like? And what are the common culprits, those triggers that set the whole thing off?
Yeah, these symptoms are probably way too familiar for a lot of you. We're talking about that nonstop sneezing, the itchy, watery eyes, and of course, a nose that's either running like a faucet or is completely blocked up. It can even mess with your sleep and cause snoring. It's no fun.
Now, when it comes to what causes all this, the triggers really fall into 2 main camps. First, you've got the seasonal ones, think pollen, that only show up to cause trouble at certain times of the year. But then you've got the year-round triggers, the sneaky ones that might be lurking in your own home all the time.
So let's look at the usual suspects. Pollen is the classic one, right? The one we blame for our springtime misery. But for those year-round symptoms, the culprit is often indoors. We're talking about teeny tiny dust mites in our beds, dander from our beloved pets, or even mold spores hanging out in damp places.
Okay, that's enough about the problem. Let's get to the good stuff, solutions. And believe it or not, your first and maybe most powerful line of defense is just trying to avoid your triggers in the first place.
So if pollen is your personal nemesis, here's your game plan. On those high pollen days, try to stay inside if you can. When you do go out, sunglasses are great. They act like a little shield for your eyes. And here's a pro tip. As soon as you get home, hop in the shower. It washes off all that pollen that's been collecting on your skin and in your hair.
But what if your triggers are inside? Well, if you're fighting dust mites, the main battlefield is the bedroom. Washing your sheets every week in hot water is a huge help. You can also get special dust mite-proof covers for your mattress and pillows. And when you're dusting, use a damp cloth. It traps the dust instead of just flinging it back into the air.
But hey, let's be real, you can't live in a bubble. It's impossible to avoid every single trigger all the time. So what do you do then? Well, that brings us to our second solution, treatments that can really help.
Okay, this breaks down the 3 main types of help you can find over the counter. Antihistamines are like flipping the off switch on your body's allergic reaction while it's happening. Corticosteroid nasal sprays, on the other hand, are more like a protective shield. You use them every day to calm things down, so the reaction doesn't get so bad in the first place. And decongestants? Think of them as the emergency rescue crew for a totally blocked nose. They work fast, but you really shouldn't use them for more than a few days at a time.
With all those options, it can be kind of confusing to know where to start, right? Honestly, for mild or occasional symptoms, one of the best things you can do is just talk to your local pharmacist. They're total experts and can point you to the right product right there on the shelf. But sometimes, over-the-counter stuff just isn't going to cut it. You really should think about seeing a doctor if your symptoms are just sticking around and not getting better, or if they're bad enough that they're seriously messing with your sleep or your ability to get through your day at work or school.
Now, your doctor might suggest something like an allergy skin prick test. It sounds a little intense, but it's actually really simple. A specialist just puts tiny little drops of different allergens on your skin to see which ones cause a small reaction. It's like detective work to pinpoint exactly what you're allergic to.
Now, this next point is absolutely crucial to understand.
A positive test doesn't automatically mean that thing is causing all your problems. It just means your body is sensitive to it. Think of it this way. You might be sensitive to criticism from a stranger on the street, but it's the criticism from a close friend that actually ruins your day, right? The test finds all your sensitivities, and then your doctor helps you figure out which one is the real troublemaker.
So, we've gone through the problem and we've talked about a bunch of solutions. What's the big takeaway here? What does this all boil down to?
Well, the bottom line is this. There's no magic cure for hay fever. But, and this is a really big but, it is absolutely 100% manageable. The real key is a smart two-part strategy. Do your best to avoid the triggers you can and use the right treatments to handle the symptoms you can't.
Ultimately, just understanding your own triggers and knowing what your options are is so empowering. It lets you go from just trying to survive allergy season to actually being in control of it. So, are you ready to make a plan and take back your spring?